Oh, hey, crafty people. Come on in and let's find out which craft we're doing today. So today's craft is card making. I've decided that I want to make a belated birthday card because as time goes on and the year starts to fly by, I know towards the end of the year when I'm busy with making Halloween, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, New Year's, like all these different holidays that I make cards for, there's a couple of birthdays scattered in there that I may miss. So if I do, I want to have a belated birthday card on hand so that I can just fill it out, sign it, and send it as quickly as possible in hopes that they will forgive me for being late. But I digress. That reference will make sense in just a moment. So I searched through my stash and I found what I think will be a funny belated birthday card. I stumbled across the set that I have of the Golden Girls. And who doesn't love the Golden Girls? That show still makes me laugh. There was an episode where they were on a game show. Season 3, episode 16, titled Grab That Dough. But everybody knows that. I'm not obsessed. Right? Right? Stop looking at me! They had to answer a question with pertaining to a very popular saying. And it was better late than, and of course Blanche chimes in and says, pregnant! So I'm like, okay, that would make me laugh. Let me use this. And then on the inside sentiment, it'll say, happy belated birthday. So let me show you some footage that I filmed earlier of me making the actual card. I'm going to start by putting a scrap piece of cardstock in my stamp positioning tool, the Misty. And I'm going to stamp this image 3 times. In case I mess up, I'll have another copy ready to go if I can't fix it with the coloring, the Copic markers. So I'm going to start with her clothing by using RV29, RV34, and RV52. And what I like to do is take the darkest color and put it over the lines that the artist put in there. I've figured those are going to be where the shadow would go. And then I'm going to color in with the lighter color the rest of the jacket, including the collars and a little bit of the inside. And then what I'll do is switch back to the darker shade and give it a little bit more of a touch up in certain areas. And then I'll just keep going back and forth. And the more times that I go over the colors, it's just going to pull them and blend them together. And you'll see there I just went outside the lines a little bit. So I used, Copic has a colorless blender which just has the formula without any color in it. And if you put that on the cardstock, it'll push the color back inside the lines. For her dress, I'm just going to use a solid red. I'm not going to worry about shading it or using any different colors with it. I'm just going to use the red, and then I'll use the same color red for her shoes, being very careful with that little teeny tiny strap that I don't go into the leg areas. That would be a lot harder to fix with the colorless blender since it's such a very small area. So now I'm just going to go back again and continue blending the outer coat using the lighter color and then a little bit of the darker color until I am happy with the shading. Now to color her hair, I'm going to use E31 and E34. Just like with the coat, I'll start by coloring the lines that the artist put in the figure, and I'll go around the outline of her bangs and maybe even extend the lines a little bit more. I got some of the hair color on her face, so I just used the colorless blender, dabbed it on there, and pushed that color back into the hairline. Now I'm going to fill in the rest of it with the lighter color, and then what I'll do is go back and forth between the lighter color and the darker color, just so that it looks like there's some texture and, you know, there are some highlights in her hair, and make it look a little bit more realistic. Now for her skin, I'm just going to keep it simple and just use one color. I'm going to use E30, and I'm just going to color in her face. I'm not going to do any extra shadowing, but if I were, I would do it on this side because her head is turning that way. So if and I'm not really doing this with a light source in mind, because normally when you're coloring, you would have a light source. So for example, I would say, let's just pretend the sun or the light is here. So you would think of the light traveling this way. And if her head is this way and turned, that would create a shadow over here. But I'm not going that deep into, I don't know, realism, if you want to call it that. So we're going to finish coloring her face. You could even do some eyeshadow here. I was tempted to do that, you know, because it's Blanche and she was always on the prowl. It's one of the characteristics that I loved about her. So I'm just gonna color in her ears, and now going to do her arms, her neck, her hands, and then down on her legs. And I want to be very careful down here where the little strap goes across, to make sure that I don't go into the red and cause all of that to blur together. So just go back in and touch up the arms there. You can see I went a little bit out of the line, so I'm going to use the colorless blender and fix that. Let me see, for her lipstick and earrings, R29, and it's called Lipstick Red. And for her belt, black, and it's just the number 110. This color is RV23. Okay. And I'm going to just get, you're not going to see as much on that side. I'm just going to let that dry, and then we're going to cut it out and work on the next piece for the card front. So to die cut the images, I'm going to use my Big Shot Plus. I like this die cutting machine because it also allows me to use some of the AccuQuilt Go dies. Here I have the half square triangle, and I say that I'm not yet ready to purchase the AccuQuilt, and I say yet because of Anita. Ooh, an Accu what? I need it, I need it, I need it, I need it! And we all know with Anita hanging around, it's only a matter of time until the peer pressure's too much. So to cut this out, there are instructions on the plates that you use, and it tells you which layers to build up depending on how thick the die is that you're using. To keep the die in place, I use a small bit of low tack tape. In this example, I used washi tape. Now you can see here that I didn't quite place the die completely center, so I have a little bit of extra white on the right side of the image, and I'm just going to use a pair of small scissors and fussy cut it out. Okay, so there we go. I trimmed along this side and then stopped over here, and now it looks fine to me. So also off camera, the sentiment that I want to use, I went ahead and took the smallest die from this set, the Lacy Point frames by Simon Says Stamp, and I'll show you quickly what they look like. So I took the smallest one since it has closed in, like it's not going to cut the inside of that square out, which left the perfect size place for me to stamp my sentiment. Better late than pregnant. Okay, so here are two pieces for outside of the card. Now what I'm going to do is find some matching cardstock, probably in pink or red, but I'm thinking at this point pink. And I will cut that down just slightly less than 5.5 by 4.25, because that is the A2 size card, the card base that I'll be using, and I want this to be a little bit smaller than that so that there is a white frame of the card base that goes all the way around. Okay, so here are the three pinks that I've chosen, and now what I'm going to do is just lay the figure on there to see which one I like best. And okay, so I think I like the middle one best. I think this is the one I like. So now I'll figure my layout. I took the frame that I'm going to use and the two images that I'm going to use, and then I decided to add a little bit of sparkle because, you know, why not be extra? So I decided that the frame still allowed too much space, so I went ahead and used a smaller frame, and now I'm just going to position things around until I see a layout that I want to use. So to attach everything, I'm going to once again just double check that I have everything where I want it. I have some liquid glue that I'm going to use to attach the sentiment, and I'm going to place it down at the bottom. I'm going to give Blanche a little bit of dimension, so I'm going to use these foam squares that I have, and I'm just going to place a few on the back of her, and I'm going to cut one in half down by the legs because the foam square itself is thicker than her legs. So once I see where I want her to go, I'm going to remove the backing from the foam squares, and then I'm going to use my tweezers to hold her over just to make sure. I want to hover over the card base just to make sure I get it in the right spot before I place her down, because those squares stick almost instantly. Now I'm going to place the sequin around where I want them to be, and then with my picker tool I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to put a dot in the spot where I want to put down the sequin. Now with the front panel complete, I'm going to attach it to the card base using this rolled foam tape. All I do is cut pieces of the tape the same length of the card panel, and once I have that the right length, I'm going to snip it and then just flip the card over, and place them on the back. And I'm spacing them out just enough so that it's not a solid surface, but that it will create enough bend in the card as it's going through the mail that it won't damage the card. So to apply it to the card base, I tape down the card so that it stays folded closed, and you'll see I'll probably have to add another piece of tape here in just a second. And then I peel the backing off of the foam tape, and then I will stand up and look straight down so that I am centering this over the card base exactly. And then I will just simply lay it down and give it just a little bit of a push to make sure that the adhesive is sticking, and then the card is finished. So here is the finished card. This was a lot of fun to make, and I think it's cute. I think that the recipient will forgive me for being late, and hopefully I'm only a day or two late and not a lot longer. Anyway, friends, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. So that's all the crafting we have for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you come back again to find out which craft we're gonna do. Bye, crafty people.